Mark, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you. I read the book. It's really awesome, really well written, and very interesting. So I'd love to dig a little deeper. But first, just a very quick introduction from you for our audience.
Sure, yeah. So Mark Harari. I'm currently Vice President of Remodeler's Advantage. I'm also president of the sister company, RA Marketing. And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started co-owned a remodeling company many years ago. Just always doing something new. I'm that shiny object guy. I need somebody to keep me at bay, keep me sitting at my desk to get my work done because I can't wait to get on to the next big thing.
And it's all about differentiation. That's why you want to differentiate yourself. You want to be the lobster. You want to stand out. And you explain very methodically how to achieve the differentiation. But to start, can you make it more tangible why you need to differentiate as a business?
Sure, yeah. Well, the biggest reason, if not the only reason, definitely the biggest reason is you don't want to just be a commodity, right? Clients, prospects, they need to know you're the right choice for them. They need to say, Costa is different than Phil. He's going to provide something that Phil can't provide to me. So even though he's a little bit more, I'm going to go with him because he's going to be the right choice for me. And that's what you always want to do. You want to differentiate yourself from the other choices on the plate. If you don't do that, the client has to make a choice. They got to come up with a decision. And there's only one tiebreaker left, and that's price. So now all you're doing is commoditizing yourself, commoditizing your services, and making yourself on a race to the bottom against your competitors. That's a lose-lose for you and your competitors. Everybody starts losing value. Everybody gets into bidding wars, pricing wars. It's not a fun place to be. So you want to differentiate yourself in any way possible.
So can we dig deeper into how do you differentiate with your system?
Really, this is an age-old technique. Marketing agencies have been doing it for many, many years, and it comes down, boiling it down to a positioning statement for your company. So the positioning statement, you identify your target market, you identify that target's unmet need, you identify your competitive set, which is basically the sandbox you're playing in, right? Who are your competitors? What are the reasons to believe your point of difference? Because you have to prove it. If you just say, hey, I'm different because, that's just a stated claim. You have to prove that you are what you say you are. And then the sixth element, or the sixth stone as I call it of the six stones, is your brand personality. Every brand should have a personality. Every company should have a personality. Nobody wants to buy from a machine. Nobody wants to buy from a logo. They want to buy from people. And the brand, the company, can exude the personality of a person as well. And at the end of the day, we're tribal. We connect with people. We connect with other people. So you want your brand to exude a personality, ideally of the same personality of your target, because we're attracted to people that are like us, the same ideals, the same beliefs. So if your brand, and that's why the system works so well. I didn't invent the positioning statement. I tweaked it a little bit. I added a component or two. I massaged it. But at the end of the day, this is something that's been around for a long time. But also at the end of the day, there are marketing PhDs out there that spent, no one knows how many years in college and learning all this stuff and getting all their course credits. And I've read some of these marketing books and these texts, and they're really, really challenging, even for someone that likes to read. Some of them get a little bit in the weeds with technical stuff. And you don't want to be a professional marketer, right? That's probably not your role as a business owner. And even if you are a solo marketer for a business owner in one of these companies, you're not going to be working at an agency. You don't need to get to that level of text. I boiled it down to a simple, easy to implement system that the big dogs are using, but I make it easy for you as the business owner. And that was really my biggest goal on it. I see it all the time. At Remodeler's Advantage, we work in the remodeling vertical. So we help remodeling business owners. And I get their business plans. I get their marketing plans. I see their marketing creatives that go out. I see it all. And it's so frustrating because they're missing the basics. They're missing the basic elements of where they need to be. And so that's really what propelled me to write the book. And so coming back to your question, why is the positioning so critical and so important? Because that is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you compete with. You can compete against Amazon. If you have a strong, powerful positioning statement that identifies these 6 stones, you can go up against anyone. You can go against a Titan and win.
Now, how do you know if you have a good positioning statement and execution?
So you need to just make sure, and you follow along in the book with the litmus test parameters that I give you. You can't, as an example, you can't be too broad and general with your target. The unmet need, it has to satisfy both your target customers' emotional and functional needs. And a lot of times business owners are thinking of the functional needs that they satisfy, right? My app will get you to work more efficiently at the office. Well, that's great. That's not what the person's walking around thinking. What's the emotional component of that need? And you have to dig deep, drill, whatever you want to do, depending on your tool of choice. You got to get deep into it and discover what it is that they are emotionally looking for. And everyone has it. B2B, B2C, definitely. But B2B, don't think that just because it's a marketing manager or an HR department person, they don't have an emotional need. Everyone has an emotional need tied to what they're looking to get fixed, the service that you are going to deliver to them. So for the unmet need stone, that's one of those litmus tests. And I could keep going. There's just so many tests, but you know it when you implement it, pretty much, because it's going to be clear. Once you have that statement, you should be able to read the completed statement and know that none of your competitors can do what this statement says. If anyone can take your statement and say it, plugging their company name into it, you failed. Assuming it's true, that is, right? So if they can plug their name into the same statement and everything about the statement is true, you are not unique, you are not different, and you're just another piece of cheese on that really good plate.
Now, if going through the book, somebody realized that I don't have a good positioning statement, I don't have good positioning in the market, does that mean they need to change their business, they need to pivot?
It's very possible, actually. Not having one when you start reading the book and kind of going through the exercises doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means you haven't found it yet. You haven't really dug deep enough. It might be there. It just needs a little bit of digging and poking. And so I do take you kind of through some ways to unearth the unmet need and the differentiation factor that you have. But if it does come down to, at the end of the day, there is nothing there, you very well probably should consider strongly that you need to make a major shift in what it is you're delivering. And it could be the most basic, or not basic, excuse me, the easiest of all the points of differences you could do is to get more niche in your market. Right. So if you're trying to be, say, a videographer and you just do everything, I do commercials and I do weddings and I do bar mitzvahs and all that. Well, get niche, pick a specialty and specialize in it. That could be one step to getting you closer to finding that differentiator. So as an example, but yeah, it's very possible if it doesn't exist, you might have to look long and hard at what it is you're delivering, what your service offers, and how you can improve upon that. And you probably, as you said, you might have to pivot.
And once you have your message figured out, then how do you communicate it effectively to your ideal clients?
Your positioning statement is an internal document. That's not something you're posting anywhere. That's for you, for your team, for your marketers, for you to know. You need to translate that at that point into the messaging that should be going out to the world. And once you've determined the messaging, so these are the things you need to be talking about, what it is you need to talk about. And again, that's why we're stepping it, and each step along the way is building. Now we know what we want to talk about, and then I'll give you copywriting techniques and tips, which is copywriting, for those that don't know, is the art of writing to persuade. So any advertisement you've ever seen is written by a professional copywriter, at least the corporate level. The thing is, professional copywriters they're expensive. The good ones can demand a pretty penny. Actually, an interesting side note: some of the most wealthy, highest paid writers on the earth aren't novelists, they're copywriters. So if you can't probably, if you're a small business, you're not going to hire a professional copywriter on staff, and you probably can't even afford one to do your one-off campaigns. But that's why I kind of get into some of the techniques that they use, crash course, if you will. And it's through that you then have now what it is you're sending out into the world, how you're getting your message out, and you're winning those clients.
All right. And have you seen, through your experience, what are some common mistakes that you've seen businesses make in terms of their marketing and positioning?
Common mistakes. Well, can we extend the show about an hour? No. One of the biggest mistakes, and it's probably the most glaring mistake is either a lack altogether for having a strategic marketing plan for the year. And I'd say, at least with the companies I deal with, it's maybe 50%, 60% have one, and the rest don't even have that. Of the ones that do have it, the biggest mistake is when they send it to me for a review, for example, it's not a marketing plan. It's a budget. It's a list of tactics. Here's my marketing plan for 2021. Let me know what you think. And then I open it up and I just see this list. It's like a grocery list. Eggs, $15. It's just this list of stuff that they're going to do with dollar amounts attached to it. That's not a plan. That's not a plan for anything. That's barely a shopping list, much less a plan, right? I mentioned it to someone the other day. Imagine if the military was going to war and they asked for a strategic plan on what, General, what's your plan? And he just provided a list of items he needed money for. I need $62 million for landmines, $150 million for tanks, blah, blah, blah. So what do you think? We ready to go? That's not a plan, buddy. No, get out of my office. Come back with a plan, and then we'll talk about whether you're going to get the money to execute it. So that's probably the biggest mistake. Really, the marketing plan, and again, just like the positioning statement, it's a linear process. You got to start with there's 6 components to the strategic plan for the year, right? You got to start with the objective. What is it you're trying to achieve? Then from the objective, you move on to strategy. And then after you have the strategy, then you can identify the tactics that you need to use to execute on the strategy that is going to achieve. Look at it this way. You play chess? Okay. Imagine asking you to create a strategy for our upcoming game, but you don't know the objective is to capture the king. How could you possibly come up with the strategy? Maybe our game, the objective is going to be to capture the queen. If I don't tell you what the objective of the game is, you can't possibly come up with a strategy to win it. And everybody skips that part. And then they skip the strategy as well, move straight to tactics. And I get it. You know why? Tactics are not only the low, easy hanging fruit, well, easy, low hanging fruit, I should say, but they're fun. That's the fun stuff, right? Look at the creative. Look at my new postcard. I just had my graphic designer create this great postcard. I'm going to mail it out to everybody in my service area. It's going to be so great. It's so pretty. It's so fun. Look at my new website. My website's so pretty. Isn't it great? Look at that. The buttons are so shiny. That's the fun. But you can't get there. You're jumping ahead, way too far ahead. So if there's any one thing that I would like anyone watching this to fix immediately, it's do not go into your year without a strategic plan for your marketing.
Got it. And let's do the quick fire questions because we're running low on time. So,
absolutely, fire away.
What is your second favorite business book? Assuming the first one is yours. So what's the second?
Excellent. I have to say Influence by Robert Cialdini. I actually mention it explicitly in the book because I do feel like if you are going to even try to dip your toe in marketing in any capacity, it's a must read. I don't think anyone worth their salt should not read that book if they want to play with marketing.
And what do you wish you knew when you were 20?
Actually, I wish I knew all the probably the biggest thing is the copywriting, some of the tips and techniques I give in it, because admittedly, look, I wasn't born and just, hey, I'm a copywriter. It's painstaking work. It's a studied art. It absolutely is. And that's why they demand so much money. But you don't need to study it to be respectably good at it. But I made a lot of copy mistakes in my early days, and that cost me. So that's probably what I probably would have done first, is learn that a little stronger in my early days.
For people who want to learn more about the book, are there any resources or how can they connect with you?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so the book is available on Amazon, and I do have a website dedicated just to the book. It can be found at bethelobster.com. And on there, I have all the resources I reference in the book, because I provide tons of downloads and documents and tools that you can use. But also that there you can get a link to the book and Amazon. So yeah, bethelobster.com. Tons of resources. I want to try to start updating it. I just updated something new the other day, and I want it to be a continual resource for anyone that buys the book. So I'm planning on feeding it lots of content in the months and years to come.
Awesome. It was great having you on the show, and thanks a lot for sharing.
Yeah, great. Awesome being here, Costa. Thank you.